A small Cambridge inn called the White Horse. The Reformation came.
Restless is raw, unscripted, reformed radio.
Welcome to the Restless Reformed podcast. I am not Michael Bauman or Matt Klein. I am a different voice. I am the off-brand Restless podcast host this week, and I am joined by the number one off-brand. I'm number two off-brand. I'm joined by the number one off-brand Restless Reformed podcast host, Ryan Biese.
Hi there. Thanks for having me, or it's not your podcast, so I don't know if I have to thank you or get to thank someone else, but always a joy to be on the podcast. Okay. Thank you.
You thank me, and I will thank somebody else and thank you for being on the podcast.
We'll just pass that gratitude around.
Yes, a circle of sharing here. Anyways, as you all know, there's some kind of issues, not issues, but first, one host had a baby. Now the other host is having a baby, and they were looking for some stand-ins. I'm not going to say dumb stand-ins, but I'm kind of dumb. So,
but I think this is the reason that women shouldn't have podcasts, because they keep having babies. So if we just had men who hosted podcasts, this wouldn't be a problem.
Right, except for when the men who host the podcasts are unable to record.
Well, yeah, I mean, but men don't have babies, so I mean,
That's
when I had a kid, well, my wife had a kid. When my wife had a kid, I preached the next Sunday. In fact, I left my wife in the hospital in Jackson, Mississippi, drove up to First Pres Winona, preached, and then drove back and picked her up from the hospital. And
great.
Yeah.
This is not a marriage advice podcast.
Hey, I remember making the bulletin with one hand, holding the baby in the other hand, because there was no paternity leave at First Pres Fort Oglethorpe. So, I don't know about this. I don't know.
You know what? Speaking of paternity leave, we are hosting the Restless podcast today, and we are going to be going through some fantastic articles posted by none other than TGC, the Gospel Coalition. I know that's why you're all here, and I'm sure that years ago, maybe one of these articles was covered by the Restless podcast, but you know what? Because we read it, you now need to know about it.
Yes.
And this is a great time to remember that for all your soap needs, go for Spindles and Scarlet. Spindles and Scarlet soap. Michael's recorded ad is so much better than mine, but I'll tell you this, it's good soap.
Yeah. Scarlett O'Hara, one of my favorite villains from all of American literature. And by the way, the book is a lot better than the movie.
Always is.
Always, yeah.
Always. All right, so we are going to be discussing some articles from TGC. The first one was originally posted in January of 2016. And, fun fact about this article, it's still up. It's still posted as something that you can find on their website. The Gospel according to, not the Bible, Taylor Swift. Now, Ryan, you really like listening to Taylor Swift's music, correct?
Like I enjoy a hole in the head, yes.
Well, the head has 5 holes. They're all needed.
Yes, don't need any extra ones, though.
That's true. So we'll put, I'm sure the people who actually do the hosting of this podcast will put some links down in the description. But
if this episode even sees the light of day.
That's true. If it sees the light of day. And we are recording video, so make sure you watch the video. It shall be epic. All right. Do you want to take us away on this?
Well, I don't know about take us away. I'd love to take this article away, but this, what I wrote on this. I didn't read this article 10 years ago, so now I was forced to read it now. But this is the archetype of the Gospel Coalition cultural kitsch. Is my thought, and it begins unless you live in a cave, you may find it difficult to avoid hearing Taylor Swift's Out of the Woods this year. I didn't know what that was until
Yeah.
just now. But in 2016, I was living in Winona, Mississippi, and which was not a cave. But I just wonder, are people in Big Eva too enthralled and enraptured by pop culture? And why the need? Why the need to spend 2.5 pages, 3 pages analyzing this feminist, immoral biddy bop woman? She lost him, but she found herself, and somehow that was everything. I mean, what feminist garbage is that? Women were made to be in relationship with men, and here this song is about women finding themselves when they get dumped or dump their boyfriends. I mean, it's just totally antithetical to everything that is true and beautiful and good.
Yeah. So I guess really with that being said, because it was said, the question is, do you think this was posted merely to generate lots and lots of data, clicks, and money? Or was this actually somebody's opinion that this needed to be written?
I don't like the attack that people will make, and people have said of me that, oh, he just is doing that for clicks. Well, when I get lots of clicks is when I get lots of drama. Maybe it's different when you're big green evangelicalism. I don't know, but I think they're trying to reach the culture, especially with this next article from Taylor Swift or about Taylor Swift. But trying to find something gospel-ish, like in it says, here the core message of Christianity affirms the longing expressed in Out of the Woods. Oh, okay, yeah, that's in a sense true, that Christianity is the answer to the God-sized hole in our hearts, or whatever cliche there is. Um, but my question is, looking back on this 10-year-old article by Trevin Wax, why are you trying to find meaning in trite stupidity?
Or caves?
Or caves? Yes.
Yeah. I will note at the bottom of this article, I thought it was interesting that it says, if you would like my future articles sent to your email, as well as a curated list of books, podcasts, and helpful links I find online, enter your email address. I would like to not receive that. Is there a list that I can be on that does not get those things?
I think that you just don't sign up. But yeah, I mean, if this is the quality of books and podcasts that Trevin Wax is going to be producing and recommending, I don't know why anyone would take cultural guidance or spiritual guidance from someone who knows this much about Taylor Swift lyrics. And it's hard not to just sound like, oh, what are those guys from the Muppets? Murdoch and Crenshaw,
Oh yeah, the guys in the
yeah.
loft who were making fun of everything.
I don't want to appear like that, but if it's not Baroque, don't fix it. That's what I've always said.
Oh,
It's
that's a bad joke.
discovering how God expresses himself in grace to the world through the death of his son, not how we express the worth that we have in ourselves. So he does, toward the end, start to take issue with the misplaced search for meaning, and he with this expressive individualism nonsense, but this whole genre of pop culture is just contrary to a Christian worldview.
Yes.
I guess people would probably respond to me, Ken, by saying, well, when Paul was in Athens, he went to the different temples,
Yeah, he was in
and
Athens. Yeah.
and he found the shrine to the unknown God, and he was quoting from the literature that was common in Greco-Roman culture as he shared the gospel with them. And isn't this Trevin Wax fella, isn't he just doing the same thing? And I don't know that he is, because this is pop culture. This is not classic culture. This is not folk culture. This is nothing.
Yeah.
This is a culture that is plastic, that is synthetic, that will be forgotten in 100 years because it does not have lasting value. I mean, Christians should love culture because the gospel transforms culture. I don't know if people are getting their bingo cards out or not, but culture is good. Western Christianity has been so impactful on Western civilization, as Marco Rubio, our Roman Catholic Secretary of State, pointed out just a few, I don't know, days, weeks ago. If this ever sees the light of day, who knows? But I remember when I was in college at Grove City College in Western Pennsylvania.
Did you go to Grove City College?
I that is the finest undergraduate institution to ever award me a degree. Grove City College in Western Pennsylvania. gcc.edu/apply for those of you with high school aged children. But I was sitting in a class with, I think it was Dr. Joshua Drake, and we were studying the Third Symphony of Beethoven. And they're in the first movement of, and I'm sure all of our viewers and listeners will know that Beethoven's Third Symphony was written to the memory of a great man, and not gonna say who may have been, but in that first movement, there's all these rhythmic issues. And they just can't be resolved in that first movement, and it goes into a coda. And even in the coda, there's the rhythmic issues are still there. And Dr. Drake made the insightful comment: in order to get rid of all these issues, a death and a resurrection are necessary. So yes, in culture, real culture, not pop culture, you can find echoes of the gospel, even in music of a cretin like Beethoven. You can find echoes of truth. Of course you can. But studying Beethoven is actually worthwhile. Studying Taylor Swift is a waste of time.
It's a waste
Except
of
for
time?
this. I think so.
Except for this podcast, of course.
Well, we're redeeming the time by talking about what a waste of time it is, and hopefully we're entertaining folks as well.
I would hope so. And one of the things that's not super great is that it opens in this article. It says that it's a brilliant crafted piece of pop music. Qualified. They should put probably that in asterisks music that has been covered by multiple singers and bands, including the Christian group for King and Country. Those are the guys that do the drum thing around Christmas. That do the drums.
That sounds Christian nationalist to me. I'm a little nervous about King and Country.
That does. We need a study committee.
Yes, I mean maybe we get the OPC to do one as well.
That would be helpful.
That would be
the joint study committee. Oh man,
Maybe
fulfill our NAPARC thing.
The OPC could probably do it with less expense because of all the Dutch people in their denomination.
Study committees are so expensive.
They are. And I heard from the chairman of our PCA, Christian Nationalism Study Committee, that no one will be happy with it. So we will have spent $15,000 and no one will be happy with it. I believe his exact words were, it's the lose committee. So there you go. Perhaps though, the study committee on Christian nationalism is more worthwhile than Taylor Swift lyrics.
Well,
and from what I understand, you can spend $15,000 to go to a concert from Mrs. Swift or Miss Swift. Ms. Is she a Ms.?
Miss, I don't think she's married. I
not...
think she's engaged.
Oh.
But
how nice.
Yeah,
I was engaged once.
Yeah.
My engagement ended, though.
It did.
It did. Terminated. I'm no longer engaged.
So, this not only does this thing exist, but that this is not the only piece of Taylor Swift gospel related literature. There's another article that is actually posted in 2024. So much newer. Yeah. Here's the title, friends, and we'll link this one as well. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. The gospel in Taylor Swift lyrics.
Well, I just want to point out that the church sign that they are using does not have an evening worship service. So is this the Gospel Coalition undermining evening worship? That could be another scandal.
That could be a scandal. Also, I don't know what SS is, but it happens at 9:45.
Well, it's either that little group that went to Argentina in the mid 1940s or Sunday school, I would guess.
I hope it's the latter. Oh man. Okay, so this one 2024, and I will put a note on this one. This is the Australian edition of for the Gospel Coalition, and I will say I have spoken with someone over there that
under there.
No, not in Australia. No, not under there. Someone at the America TGC, and they told me they have no ability to censor or do anything with what's posted on the Australian or any other regional version outside the United States.
Huh. So they're only concerned with one nation.
They are.
The Christianization of one nation. So is the Gospel Coalition Christian nationalist? Like they have an Australian version? And do they have a Canadian version?
You know what? I can tell you what they have. Africa. They have some squibbles, which that might be some Middle Eastern country. I'm not sure.
Oh, I was thinking tribbles from Star Trek.
There you go. Brazil, Canada. Again, there's some characters that look. I won't say what they look like because I'm not sure. Spanish, French. See, it's weird because it starts with like regions, but then it moves to languages. So like Spanish, French, but then it goes back to India, and then Italia. I think it's just called Italy, but maybe that's the language again. I'm not really sure. There's Polish is here.
I
don't see Prussian though.
Well, that would be in German. Prussian wasn't a language.
I said what I said.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess there were. Prussia is an interesting situation because they were actually the Proto-Prussians, that lived there. That the Teutonic Knights kind of did whatever the reverse of the Little Bighorn was, and but the name of the land actually stuck. They were so the Prussians used to not be Germans. They were Prusy, I think. But anyway, that's
I went to another language page and I can't read any of it. So,
congratulations.
But it should be said that even though there is, the North American TGC has no bearing on what the Australian edition does, the American edition still has its own Taylor Swift article. So, they may not have a bearing on that.
They did it first.
They did it first.
Just like America was the first country to walk on the moon, if you believe in the lunar landing.
We went to the moon in 1969. Not 1970, but a year sooner.
That's right. Or, some people don't believe that, but...
Anyways, back to the article. 2024, July 3rd of 2024. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. I think that's a lyric to a Taylor Swift song. I'm not sure, but the picture says "Hospital for Sinners," so I'm not.
Yeah, either that or someone needs to be in the hospital to get whatever that stroke medicine is, because it sounds like whoever wrote this title may have been having a stroke.
It's possible.
Unless this is a lyric, in which case the point may still stand. I don't know.
You know what, listeners? Stroke or lyric? Comment down below. Make sure you comment. Make sure you say which one you think it is, and then give us your favorite color as well. A sellout Australian stadium tour by an American superstar Frenzied media coverage, legions of devoted attendees, joyous singing of the crowd as a choir, newly won converts. The event you think I'm describing here will probably depend on your age. I was hoping it was a church. I was hoping this was describing a church, but it's not. It says a previous generation could imagine I'm describing the Billy Graham evangelistic crusades. Oh, we said crusades. Can't do that. But most readers today will be thinking of Taylor Swift's recent Eras tour. A lot has changed in 60 years.
Yeah.
What a way to open an article.
Yeah, this is the opposite of clickbait, I think. So they should be commended for that. That this paragraph is not clickbait. I was asleep. But then I remembered I had to read this for our recording of this potential podcast that may never see the light of day. So I said, nope, wake up. You've got to read this TGC article.
But at least we'll have the memories.
Yes.
That might be a Taylor Swift lyric. Because
there again, viewers, listeners, comment down below. Is this a Taylor Swift lyric? Yes.
Yes.
So maybe you sometimes feel an emptiness caused by the blank space where God used to be. I believe the best way to satisfy our longings is the timeless story of Jesus, the lover of our souls. This is a tale which truly hits differently the stuff of your wildest dreams. And then was this the one with the allusion to the Sally Lloyd Jones, that awful little book that she published? But no, this wasn't it.
This is the one that starts with these 3 paragraphs and then gives us a gospel summary using only Taylor Swift lyrics, and then gives no qualification at the end for anything.
Yeah.
It just it quotes where those links are coming from which songs.
So this isn't one song. This is several songs that are copied and spliced together.
It looks like he went through, and maybe, I don't know if AI was a thing in 2024, but it looks like every single line that is in this gospel summary using only Taylor Swift lyrics is from a Taylor Swift song. But I remember, yeah, go ahead.
Like if I were to get the book, just picking a book at random, Moby Dick, and if I were to cut and paste different paragraphs or sentences together, could I do a Gospel Coalition Australia article on They Call Me Ishmael? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. The Gospel according to Moby Dick and
A Tale of Two Cities.
A Tale of Two Cities. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's blanking there.
Blank space is one of the words here. It's a lyric from one of the songs.
Listeners, comment down below. So are these? So these aren't from the same song.
No. Well, they might be. There might be a few songs. All the songs are apparently linked at the bottom.
At the bottom. I probably didn't print that page because I have some Dutch ancestry. I get. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they're all.
Wow, there are a lot of songs.
And notice he didn't quote each line. He just said at the bottom. I don't know where that one is. Oh.
So
start glitching.
So just looking at this last page, which I didn't make it that far. I thought it ended at page 3. I failed to flip the page, which is my fault. I acknowledge that. But I apologize. So
listeners, comment below. Is it his fault?
It says, "Take me home." I remember about Country Roads. Take me home. West Virginia.
Yes, West Virginia.
Could we sing the gospel according to whoever wrote that song? Because heaven is our home.
It
and
is.
We want, we're on the highway of holiness.
The highway to holiness. I like that.
Well, from Egypt to Assyria, passing through Jerusalem. It's very Isaiah 56, 40. I don't know. Anyway, someone's going to comment down below. In Isaiah's prophecy, gospel, the gospel according to Isaiah, where is the highway of holiness? There you go.
There you go. I would be remiss if I didn't point people to the 90s band Apologetics, which took popular songs and, parodied them to be about Christian things. So, like, All the Small Things was changed to All the Stalls Stink, which is a song about Noah's Ark.
Are they on YouTube?
They are on YouTube. They're on Spotify. It is quite spectacular to
I'm
listen
sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But, that was very popular in the 90s.
It was.
I think I had a shirt that was in the Star Wars font, but it said God's Wars. And then on the back, it was a long time ago in a city far, far away called Nazareth. And then it kind of went into the gospel story.
Oh, God's Wars. That sounds like Christian nationalism.
Well, this was the 90s, so it couldn't have been that. But
oh, right, because that's a new thing.
That's a new. Yeah, is it though? I don't know.
We'll
We'll have to wait for the Christian Nationalism Study Committee to tell us, and then we can all be disappointed. Actually, I have, I'm kind of a contrarian, but I have some pretty good hopes for that study committee. I think, I think David Strain is an excellent churchman and scholar. I think that they'll produce something that is worthwhile, and it will not be a lose committee. I think it'll be a win-win-lose. I think the racists are going to lose, but that's okay. We love it when the racists lose.
I like David Strain a lot. I enjoy hearing him talk. Just speak any words. Like, he could read the phone book because of his accent. But the content of what he says usually is good too.
Yes, always. So anyway, you probably wanted to talk about some of the things between Country Roads and Gospel, Gospel Summary. I wondered though, at the bottom, well, it's for me, it's on the bottom of page 2, but if you're looking on the interwebs,
yeah, I don't know what a printer is.
So it says, I lived, I learned, had you, got burned, held out, and held on. And then there's the fourth line. And I wondered if that was the third commandment violation in its original context.
Held out and held on.
Oh, then there's the fourth line. I'm
sorry.
Well, I see. I just wonder, and this is sort of a philosophical thing, that is it right to take words written by, excuse me, I'm so sorry, written by someone, and then someone who's a pagan, and then infuse them with Christian meaning? Now, I know Paul, in quoting from the Greek philosophers, in him we live and move and have our being, that I don't think he's giving new meaning to these Greek poets that he was quoting. But this Isaac Cowling, is he giving new meaning to what she's saying, or is he recognizing a longing in her lyrics that is satisfied only by the gospel of Jesus Christ? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm wondering. And of course, moving down, where it says, I forgot you existed. Is that speaking of God, of the true and living God?
I think he's using lyrics from a pagan to say things that are Christian-like. Because if you look, let's see, what is that? There's a section after an asterisk. I'm not sure what the asterisks are supposed to tell us, but it says miracle, unbelievable, instead of just invisible, magic, madness, heaven, sin. Saw you there, and I thought, and then we get a line there that that's.
I would say that's a third commandment violation.
That's a third commandment violation. Of course it is, and we would be remiss if we didn't point out that the gospel language does not utilize violations of the commandments.
No, not the second commandment, right? If people don't know how to read, don't paint them a picture of of God, teach them to read. Just saying.
I'm not a fan of painting pictures of God.
I'm not a fan of painting pictures. I'm terrible at it. But my kids, my daughter, my son, they are such great artists. They are just my older daughter and my son, my youngest daughter. She's not a very good artist.
Your children's drawing habits aside, that whole section is actually not great. I mean, if you read that, right, these desperate prayers of a cursed man spilling out to you for free. Oh, because it's not his price to pay. It's not his price to pay.
Well, I saw that and I wrote Calvary there.
Yeah, because that's the next line. Sky turned black like perfect storm.
Yes.
God rest my soul. Oh, wait. I miss who I used to be?
Yes, I was very confused there as how this is pointing us. Are we missing the old man? Because if those last, cause it's not his price to pay, it's not his price to pay. Well, if that's a reference or to be taken as a reference to the Lord Jesus Christ offering himself a sacrifice to satisfy divine justice, as he's made a curse for us, I can see how you could get that there. It wasn't his sin, right? What is it? One of those Getty songs. It was my sin that held him there, or something like that. But then I miss who I used to be. Are we saying we miss the old man?
That's what it sounds like.
When we're honest with ourselves, I think some of us do. I think at times, we do have that longing for the sins that we've turned our backs on. So maybe there's something there, but you got to go a long way to try to find it.
Yeah, you really do. And I mean, it's just not, this is just not good. This is not.
It's not Baroque.
It's not, yeah. That was bad. It's still bad. But
It's
you know
still
what?
bad.
I'll take that over whatever this is. And I'm gesturing to my computer screen, which right now with having this on it, I should probably unbolt and throw in the trash.
Well, there was another line down here that I know I tend to make it about me. You ran after me and called my name. Sure, I can read into that election.
As long as we're not talking about reckless love, that's all that matters.
Is that what that's about?
Well, did Corey Asbury have a chance to help write these, or?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's, and then I never saw you coming, and I'll never be the same. This is a state of grace. But I think an important question to answer or to ask is, to what extent is she influenced by a still the nominal Christian culture that is, and the language and the vocabulary, the vocabulary of a state of grace. I mean, that's a theological category. Certainly a medieval theological category, at least.
Yep.
But certainly that does describe how God's grace often works. We don't see it coming, right? The surprising nature of grace is something John Newton. Yes.
Grace.
And then further on down, my broken bones are mending, and darling, it was good. I mean, sure, there are. We could reinterpret that and find echoes of Psalm 32 or Psalm 51, but I don't think that's what is meant. And so then I ask the question: is it right to read in things that the original author didn't mean? Is this just reader response? Right. Are we meant to take a reader response hermeneutic to Taylor Swift's material?
We really no. This is not good. No, I can't find the line that you're any use of darling. No, just get that far away. My bones are healing, darling. No.
And never looking down, and right there where we stood was holy ground. You find it? You find it in there?
No, I haven't, and I
You
don't
can
kind of
you
I don't
can
want to.
control F. I mean, it's oh, and then there's
No.
we all know now we all got crowns. In our history across our great divide, there is a glorious sunrise. Well, these are obviously ideas that are stolen and reappropriated from biblical imagery. Um,
Yeah, I'd say at least copyright infringement.
Plagiarized from scripture. And then it goes into that "Take Me Home." So I don't know if these are all from one song or each paragraph is a different song. Um,
And
I
why
don't know.
is the question that I then have is what is the context of the song that's using the lyric was holy ground? I found it. It's right above the one that says King of my heart, body and soul. Oh, whoa.
I don't want to ever hear you make those sounds again.
Is this the end of all the endings? I want this to end. I don't this is bad. Like oh no. Can we be done with this? Can we move on to the other one?
Hey, you're driving this truck. I'm just here for
I'm
comic
stand-in
relief.
dumb podcast host number 3. You're podcast host number 1.
I don't know about that, but
I
um,
think it's not me. I'm not the problem. It's Isaac Cowling. He's the problem.
well, you know what G.K. Chesterton said when he was asked, what's the problem with the world?
I don't know
Dear
what he said. What
sir,
did he say?
I am yours, G.K. Chesterton.
Mm.
So I am the problem with the world. I am what's
I
wrong with the world.
sure, wonderful. I feel like, and this is the in me. I think that I am less of a problem than whatever this is.
Maybe you might be. I know that I am more of a problem than this. Uh,
Well, but see then, but are we not bought and purchased by the blood of Christ? Are we not clothed in righteousness? And we recognize that this is a pile of refuse, rubbish.
well, it certainly is rubbish, and um, it's just why spend? If people have a limited amount of time, right?
We do.
When we're doom scrolling on our phone on the throne, we have a limited amount of time, and why is the Gospel Coalition filling people's doom scrolling moments with this kind of material? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not really sure. What I do know is I don't like Taylor Swift. I don't understand the infatuation with it, and I wish Christians would stop doing this, right? This is going to bring up a whole nother can of worms, but I'm happy to do it, right?
I love a diet of worms myself.
Yeah, right? Okay. So when I hear Christians say things like, I really like Game of Thrones, I go, your sin really likes Game of Thrones. Oh, no, I fast forward through those parts. Oh, you do. Oh, you do. The last thing I read was it's like 60% of the total episodes is just all smut and grossness.
Well, that's like reading Playboy for the articles. I mean,
Yeah.
that has been around for so long, and people pointed out all those years ago that David French, instead of going to evening worship, would pour himself a glass of strong ale and watch Game of Thrones because he wrote about it in, I don't remember if it was this was before David French was went into stage 4 TDS, but when he was still writing for the New Republic or Weekly Standard or whatever it was, or conservative National Review, that's what it was. And so clearly you watch that smut for years, you're going to end up in a place where David French is now. You're going to be shilling for the New York Times and MSNBC and throwing the PCA under the bus, claiming your church. These things are dangerous. What you watch influences you. What you read influences you. What you listen to influences you more than you realize. Because you start
100%.
singing those lyrics, which is why it's great to listen to Bach cantatas. Because number one, they're in German, and number two, the lyrics are excellent, even if they're in German. Not
Especially
Polish,
if they're in
incidentally.
German.
Yeah.
The
But-
Polish and me would actually disagree with you, but that's okay.
That's all right. But I've heard some of them translated fairly accurately into English, or Handel's Messiah. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. And here's just a low ball, kind of low blow. But how many Christians have more of Mrs. Swift's lyrics dwelling in them than the words of Christ dwelling richly?
Comment down below, listeners. How much of Christianity is just Taylor Swift? Please. We'd like to know.
Not saying we'll agree or disagree, but
I think the number is too high.
yeah. But this has been a perennial issue since pop culture. It used to be that the church was producing culture.
Yeah.
Johann Sebastian in Leipzig, again, not to beat that bell, but every Sunday he was writing a different cantata, because that's what they did on a Lord's Day afternoon in the Lutheran city of Leipzig. So it wasn't even a Reformed city. Now, interestingly, when Bach was in Brandenburg, working for the Hohenzollerns, it was a Reformed court, so he wasn't producing a lot of church music, but the church used to be one of the great sources of high classic culture. And that helped the people of God to have the words of Christ dwelling in them richly. You think of Haydn's Creation Oratorio, another glorious piece of music that is, by and large, largely scripture set to music.
I said this earlier. I don't like Taylor Swift.
Sorry, I don't either. I was only vaguely aware of her, and especially when my friend Derek Bright references his affinity for Taylor Swift. But
He probably should.
Derek's a good brother. Yeah, he probably shouldn't, but we all
I like
have our
Derek.
faults. I
Yeah.
love Derek.
Yeah.
My
I do
faults
too.
are, 90s sci-fi show. I mean, Babylon 5. What a great TV show. People could probably criticize me for liking Babylon 5. And we could do a whole podcast episode on finding the gospel in Babylon 5.
Comment below,
But-
listeners. Would you like to see a podcast episode on the gospel in Babylon 5?
But that would not be worthwhile because it's just so obvious because of the literature from which J. Michael Strasling, he's another Polish guy whose name I can't pronounce. JMS is drawing from Western literature.
Okay, so let's just put a pin. Let's just bring this into a nice bow. Would it be okay, in your opinion, to do a Finding the Gospel in Lord of the Rings?
Well, I think that too would be kind of banal because Tolkien wrote it as an allegory for the church, for Christ, for the gospel. So I think we were likewise with Narnia. We're intended to find those things in there. So I guess banal might be the wrong word. I mean, that would be certainly a scholarly field of study because Tolkien intended for them to be viewed that way, to use myths to convey the Christian story. And of course, though, Tolkien was borrowing from Wagner's Ring Cycle as much as he denied it. It's pretty undeniable that he was plagiarizing some ideas from that horrible human being, Richard Wagner.
Well, the fact remains is that we can sometimes do this, but we should not do it with Taylor Swift. We can sometimes
Yeah.
do this where we delve deep and look for the gospel, but we should not do it with Taylor Swift.
Because she doesn't intend for us to find it there. We could maybe, it might be legitimate to point out, oh, see, look at how the emptiness of her paganism is revealing itself, and how she's longing for this reality, this truth, this love, this belonging, this adoption that only God and Jesus Christ can accomplish and fill and give. But this is not the way.
This is not the way. So, moving on from Taylor Swift, we are now our third article of the day, and this will be the final one, listeners. This one is from the U.S. edition, March 31 of 2022. We need to talk about Bruno. Disney's Encanto points to the Savior. Is Disney secretly a Christian company that wants us to see Jesus in everything it produces?
Well, it certainly
Comment
didn't
below.
Yeah. Maybe in, well, definitely not in Prince Caspian. That's for sure. I haven't seen this one. It dealt with magic and dark arts, and so we didn't really let the kids watch it.
I'm just going to start off the way I did the other one. I frequently start my day. Not me. This is, I'm reading in the viewpoint of whoever Ryan McDonald is. Ryan frequently starts his day hearing the not so quiet footsteps of his 4-year-old daughter attempting to sneak into the kitchen and whispering to the Google Home, "Hey Google, play Encanto." Oh, darn it. My phone just... Stop it. Stop, Google. Don't do that. See? Look what you made me do.
This would not be a problem if you had an iPhone.
I refuse. Comment below. Is it iPhone or Android? We're tackling the big issues here at the Restless Reform podcast for the off-brand stand-ins here. Encanto, you didn't watch it. I think I've seen it once. I don't know why I would have watched it, because I don't think I had kids yet. That's another thing in itself. He says that his daughter's not alone. During a single week in February, We Don't Talk About Bruno drew 69.3 million streams and claimed the Billboard #1 spot on both the U.S. and global charts. Wow. How many of those 69.3 million streams would be Christians? Comment below.
I don't know. And I don't know that it would be wrong for Christians to consume this sort of media.
Even if it's witchcraft.
I mean, that's just a decision we've made. Our kids are young. They're impressionable. They are easily frightened by... They have a difficult time determining what's real, what's pretend at the ages when this movie came out. So, I mean, when I was 4... The Little Mermaid came out, or The Littlest Mermaid came out, and my parents took me to see it, and I was deathly afraid of Ursula. I'm told. I don't remember it. I blocked it out of my mind. You still have nightmares.
Let's be honest.
I still have nightmares, but I did marry a redhead, so it obviously made a big imprint on me.
Great. We don't talk about The Little Mermaid, just like we don't talk about Bruno, apparently. So let's get into the article here. He writes, I watched the movie. I couldn't help but notice parallels between Bruno, the rejected truth-telling prophet, and Jesus Christ. I doubt any of these parallels were intended by Disney. I think you are 100% correct, friend. I don't think they were intended by Disney at all. And it's usually wise to avoid reading into movie characters more Christ figure than is there. So, should we end the article there? Nope, he's going to do that. He's going to say it's unwise to do it, but he's going to do it. And here's your Sally Jones comment. Riff on Sally Jones, Encanto is a movie that whispers Jesus' name. Take it away. I think you're muted.
Yes, I'm muted. Yeah, I just not a Sally Lloyd Jones fan. Martin Lloyd Jones,
I like
but
him.
I don't believe there's any relation.
I don't think so.
But I wonder, Ken, why he didn't see this movie as pointing to Cassandra,
Cassandra, who's that?
the daughter of the king of Troy, who was given the gift of prophecy by the gods, but no one believed her.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I am familiar with that in Greek mythology. I forgot the name.
Yeah, and
Yeah, she
there was a
said the
Brad Pitt
Trojan
movie
horse.
about that.
Yeah, there was a
Yes.
Brad Pitt movie about that. Don't recommend watching Troy and trying to find the gospel in it.
But if maybe Cassandra is pointing to another prophet who was rejected by his own people. See, this is just so silly.
It's usually wise to avoid reading into movie characters more Christ figure than is there.
I've
You know
heard that before.
Who said that?
Old MacDonald.
Old MacDonald. Ryan McDonald's the one who said that. He's the author of the article. Then why did he write the article?
Maybe he owed an article to. Yeah, this is Big Green Eva too, isn't it? The well-meaning uncle speaks truth to those he loves in order to prepare for what's to come. The Madrigal family is a household divided against itself. I feel like there's an Abraham Lincoln quote there.
Yeah, is that Christian nationalism?
Well, Abraham Lincoln was definitely a Christian nationalism. Probably not a Christian, even though he did attend a Presbyterian church, but definitely a Christian nationalist.
Comment down below. Was Abraham Lincoln a Christian?
The Madrigals don't have eyes to see that Bruno might be a prophet bringing the kingdom rather than destroying it. These are just cheap connections. It's just cheap. It's kitsch, which I know is a German word and you don't like those, but
I'm not German.
I know.
I don't speak German.
But it's kitsch.
Is that like Kismet?
Is that Yiddish? I don't do it. I don't.
Right.
It just means trash.
It just means
Kismet.
trash. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what kitsch means. I don't know what kismet means.
Oh, kitsch means trash.
Kitsch means, yeah.
Okay.
But it says Jesus came to his own and his own people did not receive him. Well, like Bruno, he's a truth-telling prophet rejected and shunned by his own people. Okay, but Jesus quoted the proverb, a prophet is without honor in his hometown. So this seems to be a recurring theme throughout history, throughout literature, that there is someone whose family rejects him, who then comes along to save the family. I mean, why? Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Please.
I just wonder, why not try to find the gospel in a Gilbert and Sullivan opera, or finding the gospel in Oscar Wilde? I mean, we could play these games all day long. Oh, he has a secret identity. Oh, he's really named Ernest. The captain is really a pauper and the pauper is really a well-born aristocrat. It's just, we can play these games of finding the gospel here and there, or we can let the word of Christ dwell in us richly, and we can appreciate culture where it's appreciable.
It sounds like you just quoted Colossians.
And maybe it was Ephesians.
Well, I think it's in Colossians too.
I know. I think it's in Colossians 3.
Well, yes, Colossians TOO. Thank you. But if you want more Colossians talk, you'll just have to look forward to a Forward by Faith podcast with me and Mr. Ryan Biese.
The one rejected and silenced is actually holding the family together. But I thought this was, there's an illustration of what Christ has done, I suppose. But I wondered why he didn't allude to Colossians, right? That in whom all things hold together, by whom all things were made, and in whom all things hold together. Since Bruno is apparently the one holding up the house or holding the house.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think he lived in the walls of the house
It did say something about
with
living in
like
the walls, which
rats or something like that. I'm
that
fairly
sounds
certain they don't
creepy.
kill him though. For like to rescue the family. I'm fairly certain they don't kill Bruno because it's a
No,
kids
no.
movie. I could be wrong though. Disney, does all kinds of random things.
But if he died, he wouldn't necessarily die, right? Because somehow Palpatine returned,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Disney doesn't know how to kill people anymore.
except for Han Solo.
Yeah, but he didn't. He asked for that. Like Harrison
He was
Ford was like,
old.
I don't. Well, he's like, I don't want to be in this. Like, I
He's
know
like,
you just backed up a truckload of money for me, but like, this is garbage.
he's also like 107 years old.
Yeah. No, he's older than that. I think 119. He's only got one
Wow.
more year. You can't go past 120.
Yeah, he and Methuselah are hanging out together. Um, the family is healed only when they receive the once rejected prophet. Okay.
Great.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I mean, but I think of the three articles, this is probably the best.
That's saying something.
Yeah. Are there gospel themes? But you know what's going to happen is some youth director, some 20-year-old youth director is going to read this article, and for youth group one week he's going to show the movie Encanto, and they're going to talk about the themes in it, and he's doing that instead of, hey, let's go through the Gospel of Mark together, boys and girls, young men and young women. I suppose that's not the best argument for why these kind of things aren't useful or helpful, but
Probably
again,
not.
I wonder why in the 19th century were people not doing things like finding the gospel in Pirates of Penzance. You know, they had it. It was similarly light, popular, or finding the gospel according to the Lord High Executioner in Mikado. I mean,
You are so cultured.
he's got a little list, and can we find the gospel in Mikado? Why didn't they do that in the 19th century? Because they knew it was silly. They could go to a silly little Gilbert and Sullivan opera, and they could go to worship on Sunday morning and Sunday evening and understand that it's okay to appreciate culture.
It is okay.
For culture's sake. But we don't need to go find the gospel in the importance of being earnest.
Yeah, Ernest or Bruno.
Or yeah,
Or even a Star Wars character, right? We really actually shouldn't go looking, because if we go looking for the gospel in Star Wars, we're just going to find pantheism.
Yeah, Manichaeanism. Yeah.
Is that a dragon egg on your bookshelf?
No, it's I think it's an upside down acorn.
It's an upside down egghorn?
Acorn, I think.
Oh, acorn. Oh.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Is it?
Oh.
It's some kind of decorative thing that was given to me by a deacon at First President Jackson.
Oh.
He didn't need it anymore, and I thought, well, that'd be a great bookend.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's well, there's my Polity Matters
Matters.
sticker. Yeah, and a Grove City College seal. But
Did you go to Grove City College?
I did. In fact, you may not know that about me, but I did. I did graduate from Grove City College.
Oh man,
The finest undergraduate institution in the world to ever have awarded me a degree. And today I'm actually wearing my RTS tie. But dear listeners, our friend Ken here is having a coughing fit.
yeah. Oh man,
I hope it's not the Wuhan flu.
We'll see if this episode sees the light of day. Speaking of problems, I don't know if your printout has the offer of a free ebook. Does yours have an offer of a free ebook? Did you print that part out?
I don't think that I did. I don't see anything.
Above his name at the bottom, the author. No.
Ryan McDonald with a BA from Biola. He's director for Foster in the City.
I don't know what that is. Above that on mine, I have an offer for a free ebook from Tim Keller.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness.
I read a Tim Keller book once or twice. This little commentary on Mark had some good
points.
Good points. Yeah. I mean, it's not written as this exhaustive, but I don't find Tim Keller to be especially helpful or insightful. But then again, I have a different vision for ministry than did Mr. Keller. Dr. Sorry, I got a doctorate.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do have a different vision. And that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. I think it's helpful to remember, and, old McDonald here, Mr. McDonald says, Bruno is by no means a perfect picture of Jesus. I would agree.
Yeah.
There are places throughout the film where the Christological resonances break down. I 100% would completely agree. Still, in presenting Bruno as a once rejected truth-telling prophet who, when received by faith, brings healings and wholeness, Encanto offers a shadow of our true Savior. I read somewhere that it's not wise to overly read into things the Christological nature of Christ figures.
Yeah, I read that too recently.
Oh wait, that was him.
He wrote that. Was that McDonald?
Yeah.
I just wonder. So what's the usefulness of this? You're sitting at Chick-fil-A, and there's this.
Not on a Sunday.
Well, no, not on a Sunday, of course not. But and there's this family in the next booth, and they're talking about Encanto, and you chat them. Hey, have you thought about how Bruno is shadows of Jesus? And they say, oh no, who is Jesus? And then you go into how Bruno. What's the practical? Is this supposed to be a segue into talking to our children about Jesus? I mean, that's what family worship is for. Or is this kind of a Deuteronomy 6 thing that you talk about Jesus and Christian themes when you get up and when you lie down and you walk by the way, and you're pointing your children to see how this is a better Jesus? I don't know. I just don't know what the cash value of this is unless, I owe TGC an article and I've got to get him an article by deadline.
And I fell asleep watching Encanto and needed to do something. I imagine that's kind of maybe how it went.
Or why not? I see that Mandalorian helmet on your cupboard there.
Yeah.
Why not, the Westminster Standards according to the Mandalorian? The kids coming with me, right? There's
baptism for children, isn't it?
And no children's church, right? The kids coming with me. I mean, we've seen the memes, but is this just taking a meme and turning it into an article for article's sake?
It might be. It might be. Because even though those memes are great, we're not using those memes to point to how the Mandalorian show is a redeeming Jesus figure culture show that we should, as Christians, should imbibe. We're not making
and we probably could do that.
And we might have more of a leg to stand on than Encanto.
I'm just saying it can be done.
It can be done, but
if you want to find it, right? That's the thing. You can do this kind of thing. But my question is this a worthwhile use of time and a last paper? I mean, because I did print these things.
You did print them. I did not print them. And so I do not think it is a good use of time and or paper.
But, paper is a renewable resource. Right? When we were kids, we were, don't waste the paper, save the rainforest. Paper is a renewable resource. Down in South Georgia, they have these whole forests that they planted to make paper out of them. And as they cut one part of the forest down, they replant it so that in 15 years they can make more paper. Paper is a renewable resource. Please print stuff. It's good for the economy in Georgia.
Comment down below, is printing good for the economy in Georgia?
And I mean Georgia in North America, not the one in Central Asia or Eastern Europe.
Yeah, that's a country somewhere else. I think the best course of action here, and I think as we think about all the stuff that we've talked about today, everything we've read, I think the best course of action here would be to not overly see Christ figures in stories where they're not there. I think that's really good advice. And if I had to quote someone on it, if I had to, I don't, but if I had to, I would say it's usually wise to avoid reading into movie characters more Christ figure than is there.
But on the other hand, and I like to be a little contrarian.
You do.
Where we see in culture longings for the eternal, for the true, for the good, for the beautiful, we can and should celebrate that and point that out.
Yes.
Whether it needs a whole article or 3 Gospel Coalition articles remains to be seen.
I think it would be helpful if we chose to spend a little bit more of our time reading the Bible and a little bit less of our time watching Disney movies. Now, you can do that. You can watch Disney movies, but we should primarily see our God in His Word, not necessarily things on screen.
Yes,
unless it's Lord of the Rings.
Well, but see, those were designed, and with Narnia, that was written for children.
It was. I will confirm that.
And so there are things that are childlike, and there are things that are for mature believers. When I was a child, I thought like a child. I spoke like a child. But when I became a man, I gave up childish things. Now, with this McDonald article, he's encouraging parents, I think, and based on his biography, it sounds like he works with a lot of children as a foster parent. That's wonderful. So I think he's probably trying to help parents think about, well, how can I have gospel conversations with my kids? I just would say, do it in family worship first. Don't use Disney movies to have those conversations. And if I'm not mistaken, the source material for The Littlest Mermaid or The Little Mermaid, Hans Christian Andersen, I thought that was even supposed to be some sort of Christian allegory. It's a little bit obscured in the Disney version, but
Pequeño.
Yes, but I did marry a redhead, so. I graduated from Grove City College and married a redhead. My 2 greatest achievements.
And I really think we probably should not go any further before this podcast descends into madness. Well, listeners, we're so thankful that you stopped by the Restless and Reformed podcast today. We know that this is not what you were expecting. However, this is what you got. And so we hope that it has been fun for you. We hope that you've enjoyed it. After hearing all this, it's probably clear you don't want to go look at our other podcasts that we actually run. That's okay. However, if you would like to, I am the host of the Forward by Faith podcast. And Ryan, you have a podcast as well.
I do. I host the Westminster Standard podcast. It's much less whimsical and far more serious. And you hear much less of me on that podcast because we try to bring in very top tier guests. We've had, I won't name names, but we've had some great guests who've been very insightful on the podcast. Some of whom you may have even heard of, to end a sentence in a preposition, which one is not supposed to do.
What can I say? I'm not very cultured. Not as cultured as you.
Well, we all have our culture.
We all have our culture. If you've loved what you've heard today, great. really great.
If you
So
love what
glad.
you've heard today, there's something wrong with you. Seek help. Talk to your pastor and support your local church.
Yes, and if you haven't commented on the video or the podcast yet about any of the things we've asked you to, what are you doing? Don't you understand that when we ask you to comment on things, it means that we need you to comment on things? But this has gone on for too long. They're probably going to cut it at some point. You're going to get another ad for Spindles and Scarlet, which is great soap. You should check them out. I forgot how they end their podcast episodes.
Yeah, but please do comment because it helps them for the monetization, the algorithm thing.
Algorithm.
I don't know how it works, but I'm just like the Wizard of Oz. I don't know how it works, but please comment below.
Please comment below, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Restless. Don't stay restless. Restless Reformed Podcast.
Stay reformed.
Stay reformed.
From heaven he came and saw her to be his holy bride. With his own blood he bought her.
That's right, guys. Stay reformed. Thanks to our friends here making off-brand Restless for us. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you comment like they asked them to. We are going to link to them here in the show notes. We're so thankful people are willing to help us so we can be off having more kids. And so we will talk to you guys really soon.